Look out the window, guys. It's a fire truck. We turn around. Ooh, Tiger's hunting.
Yeah, any beast power.
How'd this get here?
Anyway, are you guys ready to play or what?
Yeah, anyway. Welcome to the Kindred Spirit Podcast, a show all about the board game Spirit Island. Here we'll talk about analytics and strategies within the game, as well as a plethora of other topics that can be found within it. You've heard our all-star teams, but now it's time to look at all the data from the survey.
This is gonna get real spicy.
It's gonna be awesome.
Let's go.
Okay, here comes the fun part.
Yeah, I feel like people tolerate our opinions. They're like, well, let's see what the community has to say.
I did have a lot of fun with this literal team building exercise to come up with these awesome all-star teams. I hope you enjoyed hearing all about ours, but I think the majority of the fun is to see what everyone else got to say.
I think, people had some fun building their own teams in their way.
Yeah. Let's go and waste no time and get right into it.
Jump in. First position.
That's right. So what we're going to do here is, upon looking at this sea of feedback that we got, which is awesome. Thank you, by the way, ardently for all the feedback that you guys gave.
Many comments.
Just so much information. And here, this is an audio medium. You can't see us. You can't see a chart. You're just listening to us. So how do we convey this information? How do we convey all these teams and whatnot? So we
can use sound effects to make it sound fun. Spice like a disc jockey on late radio.
Like Blue's Clues.
Like, who got the best offense, kids? Draw circle.
Anyway, so we thought the best way to convey the information like this is to break it down by the role. So offense, control, fear, defense, utility, and look at how many various spirits made it on to people's teams. So we're going to look at the offense category.
Okay.
Which spirits made it on every voter's offense category, then control, then fear, and defense, utility, that kind of thing. And what I would do, y'all, honestly, is I would highly recommend actually looking at these surveys, because it is so much easier to understand these kinds of lists when you could see it with your eyes. Obviously, if you have a good ear and you can picture all the teams in your head, awesome, fine, perfect.
Yeah, but still listen to us. Yeah. We need the clicks. Just play it in the background. You don't even have to listen.
No.
Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it.
No. What I'm saying is, for me personally, I'm a visual learner. So I like to see something while also being able to listen to it. So I'm going to put a link to each of these surveys in the description of this episode so you can actually look at everyone's teams in their entirety. Because I think it's easier to actually look at it as opposed to hearing it only. But that's just me. So if you're like me and you like to look at it too, I would encourage you, if you have some time and you're curious and you're interested in it, to look at all of these things on the surveys. And like I said, I'll put the link in the description there for whether it be Facebook or Reddit or Board Game Geek or whatnot.
And you can keep the conversation going, because people are talking about like, oh, you picked Ocean here, or Wildfire, what a fun choice, or this was your utility. People are having a conversation, so it is fun to have that.
Right, and people go back and forth with conversations within the polls that those comments aren't actual votes.
Sure.
So there are a lot of conversational dialogue that is being exchanged back and forth between pieces. It's really cool to see sometimes, but the conversational stuff we don't cover here because we're going over the votes. Yeah, the data here. But like I said, I'd encourage you to go ahead and check those out if you have some free time and you're interested in that thing and you want to learn more truth about various matchups and various comments that people had or clarifications that people had in their comments.
It's a good way to meet fellow Spirit Island lovers, make some new friends.
Yeah, it's a really good way to just kind of get, instead of your toes wet, maybe like get your shins and, get your legs more into the deep end of the pool to get more indoctrinated to the truth of all of these numbers too. So if you're looking for more additional truths behind the data, I'd totally recommend you guys checking out the actual things. But enough dilly-dallying. Let's get into it.
Starting at offense.
That's right. So looking at everyone's attackers, this is one of the most interesting and probably, in my opinion, one of the most diverse categories because there are a lot of attackers.
We had to keep it to a top 5 only because there was, spirits that got some votes, but we tried to keep it to a top 5 because literally you can make an argument that anyone could be pretty good offensively.
So in 5th place, 3% of all the voters had Lure, Starlight and Lightning as their attacker. We had a 3-way tie.
Are you going to argue about Starlight?
That's the thing with Starlight, whether it be offense, control, fear, defense, or utility. It's like, oh, hey, look, there's Starlight again. Oh, hey, look, there's Starlight again. Oh, hey, look, there's Starlight again.
You can make all these and be like, well, I can't say no.
Remember in Inside Out when they were talking about deja vu? And, oh, hey, look, there's deja vu. And, oh, hey, there's memory processing. And, oh, there's deja vu.
Like, wait, what, that just happened.
Right, so Starlight's the deja vu here. I'm actually really encouraged to see that Starlight made it on people's all-star offense.
As their top offensive spirit.
Right, only 3% of the voters did this,
but a few votes. Still a few votes.
Starlight being the number 1 attacker for them. Wow.
There is where you can do damage in the growth phase similar to
Wildfire.
It doesn't stack as much as Wildfire. Sure. I think it only caps out at 2 damage, but still, good.
That's insane. I was actually really encouraged by that. Like, sweet.
Yeah, it's good for Starlight.
Now, Lure doesn't strike me as an attacker. Now, don't get me wrong.
It can break them down.
Lure has some awesome attacking potential. That I do not disregard at all. But Lure surpassing a bunch of other actual attackers? Like,
sure.
How about that? When I think of Lure, I think of more of a defending, controlling, manipulating kind of character that has damage and fear on the side.
Yeah. I think Badlands always help, and Lure spits out Badlands.
Yep. And Lure can do pretty much everything. So Lure, is kind of like a jack of all trades kind of spirit anyway. So it's not super confusing because we're going to see him later. But
I think their summary of powers is super even. Right. If you look at it, it's just for real. 4 bars.
But once again, just like Starlight, like, wow, Lure, of all the voters out there, of all the peeps that commented on our surveys, 3% of all the voters said that Lure was their attacker. Lightning, though, definitely makes sense.
The original, right?
That is the OG, just balls to the wall.
Blow them up.
Building attacker. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely relentless against fighting buildings.
Unless they're on their downturn.
Unless they're reloading. But, Lightning was the very first attacker I ever used.
Same.
I have a lot of very fond memories with Lightning.
Especially if you can take out, 3 towns in one land.
So great. When you can get a high-level Thundering Destruction, you'd be like, bam, there goes 2 towns and a city.
That feeling is similar to, a cast down as a new player.
Yeah.
I know it's not cast down Brian Deep flipping a board.
Right, because you're like, and that's 1 fear, and that's 2 fear, and that's 1 fear, and, it's all adding up.
As a brand new player, you feel so powerful.
It's so great.
Yeah. It's a fun emotion to have from Lightning.
Mm-hmm. So that is your 5th place. A 3-way tie between Lightning, Lure, and Starlight. Jumping up to 4th place, we have yet another tie, this time with 4 peeps.
We're going to see a lot of ties.
Okay.
6% of all the voters voted for these individuals. Immense Lightning. Sharp Fangs.
Nice.
Ocean, and Vengeance.
What?
Now, this is interesting. I see 2 of these as genuine attackers more than I do the others. That said, all of them have very good offense. Immense Lightning can do so much damage.
It feels like the big brother to base Lightning.
Honestly, yeah. Yeah.
Just a little bit stronger.
Right. Lightning may be the famous brother, but Immense Lightning is the powerful brother.
The bulkier one.
The Boromir to the Faramir kind of thing.
Yeah. We already said the joke of just 1 like. Did we ever say that on the podcast?
The Denethor one? Yeah. Yes. If this post gets at least 1 like, then I'll send Faramir to retake Osgiliath. And then Denethor likes his own post. Then top comment, Denethor again, say no more.
It's one of the funniest memes.
I love that one. I'm sure you've seen the one where you see that one traffic sign that says, drive as if your kids live here. And it's Denethor behind the wheel, just doobie-doobie-doo, and you see Faramir,
floors it,
just flattens,
heels out.
Faramir's just plastered on the hood of the car. Okay, back to Spirit Island.
Sorry, okay.
So Immense Lightning being the older brother. Immense Lightning, I think, depends a little bit more on your card draw.
Sure.
I think, but the capability to just sling majors out there. Immense Lightning has such a great platform for destruction.
Yeah.
If you can find a volcanic eruption, if you can find Talons of Lightning, Storm Swath, the list of good majors that kill people are very long.
There's a nice of them.
But you can go and grab so many of those kind of cards and with ease wield them effectively and just go ham. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
I want to hear about the 2 you don't see.
So we're getting there.
Anyway, Fangs is good.
Vengeance, totally see it.
Okay.
Vengeance, we've talked before.
They were my top pick.
They were your attacker for your team.
Yeah.
Vengeance is a character who I believe requires you to set the board a little bit to your own preferential environment.
Get the blade out there.
Yeah, once you have your setup realized, then you can just go absolute ham. And the ease of damage that you get, it can't be ignored.
Yeah.
It's just once you have everything down, you have your disease
the
out there, you got
set.
your blight, right, you got the table set, then it's just killing spree.
Yeah, time for dinner.
And you just go ham. It's great. I definitely see it. Now, Vengeance also comes as an attacker. Some people might not be thinking, hey, sure, Vengeance is a good attacker, but Vengeance has strings attached. Vengeance also means you're going to have a lot of blight out there.
Probably
so
a
some
blighted
people,
island.
Right, might have built that consideration into their teams. It'll be really cool to see everyone's comments to see how their various teams are built with other peeps. And that's one of the things I thought was really cool about this All-Star thing was seeing how everyone interpreted the question. Because some people were looking at the question as who is simply just the best in each category, regardless of synergy.
Just the individual.
Yep. Some people, like me, went and looked at who's the best with synergy being a big factor. And I think it's kind of cool. I don't think there's a right or wrong here. I think it's really cool to see the opinions of people and how that one consideration can completely change the results of the poll.
Some people were like Laura and just I'm just going to cram what I like into this team.
And that's
square
fine.
peg round hole.
Right.
Laura, we need 5 people.
Bam, get in there.
Is that utility? Yeah, it is now.
So then we have Fangs and Ocean. Now these are the two attackers that I don't look at as purely attackers. I'm not saying they don't have offense. They have great offense. But I look at these characters as multifaceted peeps that have much more to offer than offense. So seeing them as your attacker was like, huh. Because I think Ocean has very good fear generation.
Yeah.
But I think Fangs has great control and fear.
Yes.
So it's not like these characters are exclusively offense. Now I know, like I said before, this whole all-star list doesn't mean that every person who is on a certain role has to 100% exemplify that one thing to a T, while also not having any other kind of thing. Because you know me, I like my jack of all trades, and I love Sharp Fangs. So Sharp Fangs, in the same way Vengeance has 2 and 8s that can do damage. Fantastic. Yeah. I've seen Fangs just carry the team, not only with fear, but with offense also. I've talked about the aggressive build with Fangs, which makes them just this absolute powerhouse. And it's phenomenal. And trust me, I love it. And so I was very happy to see Fangs on here.
Yeah, on a top 5 list.
Right. And so some people might say, well, wait, Fangs doesn't nearly reach the numbers as quickly or as consistently as other people. Very true. I would definitely not disagree with that statement, but I'd also like to also refer to my past statement, which is doing small amounts of damage where it's needed will always be better, in my opinion, than doing big amounts of damage where maybe you didn't need so much.
And they bring more to the table, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So because this is a personalized list, people might think Thunderspeaker, yes, is maybe the best at offense.
Right.
But for me, I'm really good at Fangs, and I like what they bring to the table more than just offense.
Right. So, dear listener, which is more valuable to you? An efficient attacker or just an attacker that just gets crazy high numbers? To me, I like efficient attackers. People that do low damage but can get that low damage in specific places. You know, Laura just likes the big boom. She loves the volcanic 10 presence explosions. Bam!
Yeah, she's not about the little eruptions.
Right, the towering wrath with Keeper and doing there's 10 damage, there's 8, like this.
60 damage with Thunderspeaker. She loves it.
She loves those, and that's awesome. That's fine. I think, like I said, there is no right or wrong answer here. It's fun to see where people's opinions lie.
But what if you didn't need to use all that if you didn't allow the game to get to that point? What if you didn't allow 4 cities and land because you were Fangs picking off explorers?
Right, and same with Ocean. You can go ham.
Oh yeah, just
on the
drown
coast.
Cities.
Right, and you can go ham inland once you get cards and lucky things to
reach
let
and
you get
grasp.
there.
Yeah.
But that takes time. There's considerations here and there. But oh my goodness, just like Vengeance, Ocean, once Ocean gets their setup, man, they can just go absolute ham. Once their setup is pulling inland peeps to the coast or having friends push inland peeps to the coast and just simply having bad guys on the coast and you're in your good rhythm of tied in, tied out, you're just bam, and just grabbing people.
Explorer
card. Give me that town.
Yeah, exactly. Explorer card.
Right.
Coastal lands. Nice.
Nice.
Perfect. Finally.
It's like Mr. Incredible when he cracks his back when he goes to that island at the beginning and he's just like... showtime.
And my time has arrived.
That's right. So, Immense Lightning, Fangs, Ocean, and Vengeance. Fangs and Ocean, I don't consider to be pure attackers. I think that they are more multifaceted, which is why I actually prefer them in most usual cases over singular focus spirits. But in this all-star exercise, kind of puts a spotlight on the singular focus. Yeah. So, I thought it was very interesting. All right. Now let's go to our top 3, our bronze medalist at 16%. We went from 3% to 6%, now 16%. Ooh. So a large jump in the numbers here. All you peeps out there had Volcano looming high.
You will be loving Volcano.
I love Volcano. I'm very glad to see a brand new Jagged Earth spirit this high. It's the new thing on the block.
Yeah, and not everyone has it.
Right. Jagged Earth hasn't been out for nearly as long as the other content, so Volcano is new. So on one hand, the downside is that not everyone has experience with this spirit. On the plus side, since it is new, there's a level of hype there perhaps. So it's kind of cool to see how...
Both coins, both sides.
Right. Availability is like... But hype is like, yeah. So 16% of all peeps. I gotta say, every time I play with Volcano, I have just an absolute blast.
You're like, wait, I can do this.
Nice. When I was forming that sentence in my head, I was like, oh, hey, this is gonna work out as well.
Perfecto.
But no, seriously, I've had so much fun with Volcano.
Attacking
it is so
two
great.
lands.
Yes.
2 lands, right?
2 lands all the time is fantastic.
Well, the way you play it all the time.
Yeah.
Some people like to wait
and
build
that's
up.
Totally fine. Either way, regardless if you blow up often with smaller explosions or explode hugely, one thing that's consistent regardless of your approach to that character is you will be attacking multiple lands all the time.
Yes.
So whether it's one land and all the adjacent ones, or you pick one land and the mountain that you are spitting it from, and you're just dripping it all over the bad guys who are on top of you.
Another crazy thematic spirit of just like building your volcano and then, the area of effect because you're erupting lava everywhere.
Completely off topic,
magma?
but if...
Is it magma? Lava?
Lava and magma are 2 different things. I think magma is before it erupts. Okay. Lava is after it has, come out.
Cool.
I think. I could be completely wrong.
No idea. Anyway. Science!
A quick Google search will clear this up really quick. Aha! I was right. Scientists use the term magma for molten rock that is underground, while lava is molten rock that breaks through the Earth's surface.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Lava flows.
That's right. So anyway, this is off topic, but if you find Gold's Allure in the deck while you're playing as Volcano, grab it. Grab it immediately. You gather an explorer and a town to a mountain. It's too bad that I coexist on mountains and I slather lava on bad guys who are on my mountains.
And I can only go to mountains.
So fantastic card.
Gold's Allure, they're like digging, finding gold, and someone's tapping on their shoulder. They turn around. Boom! Boom! Lava.
Yep. So we'll get into more Volcano strategies later as far as how to play them well and whatnot. But just simply put, Volcano, dedicated attacker, unfortunately does have a lot of Dahan-friendly fire, which I'm not a fan of. But when you don't need Dahan and you're just like... slathering the land and molten rocks. You're just like, well, if I kill everyone, did I really need them?
Just indifference, really.
So I totally see Volcano making it to bronze medal in 3rd place. I totally see it.
That's high.
Very high.
This is very prestigious.
On to our silver medalist with 19%, which is just a little bit more than Volcano, comes in Thunderspeaker.
What?
Not gonna lie, I was decently surprised that Thunderspeaker didn't take the top.
Dethroned.
I wouldn't say dethroned. They definitely deserve to be in the top 3. They can move around and they have access to probably the easiest conveyance of a lot of damage.
Yeah.
When you think of a ton of damage, Serpent and Thunderspeaker come to mind. Thunderspeaker does a lot of damage in one spot, where Serpent can do a ton of damage in many spots. So we've had a game where Thunderspeaker did 65 damage. It was in one land. I've had games where Serpent did 57 damage in 14 lands.
Yeah.
So 65 damage, 57, that's stupid high amounts of damage. But one of them was in 14 lands, one of them was in one land. So it's interesting to see, like I said before, how these votes are going to convey people's opinions on which they prefer. You know, Thunderspeaker has access to some of the best offense in the game, but also has a lot of strings attached. It depends on how much presence you have. It depends on how much Dahan you have. Depends on where those Dahan are. So you need to do the whole timing and manipulation of when Dahan are in certain places and getting them over to certain places. But you have to make sure that you keep them safe, because if they die, so do you.
There it is.
So, you know, you need all of these things to help your multiplier get up, because Manifestation of Power and Glory is each Dahan does damage equal to how much presence you have. So if you have 4 presence in a land and you have 4 Dahan there, you're getting a ton of damage. But the thing is your multipliers and your addition and your multiplication tables are going to be really hindered once both Dahan and your presence are getting smacked. So the thing is it's not super hard for bad guys to kill your presence anyway in the game.
And Dahan.
Because sometimes an event shows up that adds a blight and you're like, crap, I just died. Bad guys.
Sometimes within those choice events, if it is a blight, like add a blight or destroy 2 of your presence. So you're like, I don't want to do either, because the blight will kill my presence, or I have to destroy presence to stop the blight.
There are a plethora of unfortunate ways that you can get killed.
Yes.
And Thunderspeaker has +1 additional way that you can get killed. It sounds very scary at first, but don't be afraid of playing Thunderspeaker. What I'm saying is you just simply have to be mindful of these things.
You hit the nail on the head. When I first got the game, I remember playing with you, and then we got it for ourselves. You know, you're looking through all the spares, like, who do I want to play next? I play the low complexities. I wanted to, kind of graduate, move on. I looked at Thunderspeaker. You see their summary powers. That's awesome. Look how fun this is. Moving with the Dahan. And then I read that special rule. And I was just like, that's scary. Because I'm not too good at this game. So I lose Dahan. I don't always defend. And I've gotten better, but they were meat shields. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I was just not good at the game. And I was losing Dahan. So when I saw that, like, I could lose my ammo and my presence if I'm near Dahan who are dying.
When you are already not proficient at a thing, and you're already trying to learn how to do something, and you definitely do not have it down yet, and someone gives you something that makes it even harder, you're like, oh no.
I will not play this. And I've, like, always been scared of Thunderspeaker since. Like, I've gotten better at the game, but it's always just like, ugh.
Right. So that said, all of these things you have to be mindful of Thunderspeaker. If you can still manage it well, you will be rewarded with probably the most consistent high damage attacker in the entire game. It does not matter how much bonus health the bad guys have, or if they're durable or all that crap, because it's like, aha, I'm durable. Well, I'm still doing 45 damage. Bam!
And you still have the innate that destroys.
Yeah.
It's not even just Manifestation of Power and Glory. You still have the innate that destroys towns and cities.
But then if you have defend cards, the thing that's so great is that the Dahan will still attack on their own natural phase anyway. So you're making them attack, and then they're attacking already. So they can, like, attack twice or 3 times depending on which cards that you use. So it's just absolutely insane. I would say that Thunderspeaker is probably, when it comes to attackers, has the most amount of checks and balances to keep in order, but the highest damage potential as far as, okay, well, I'm going to move over here. I'm going to destroy 3 towns, do 10 damage. Okay, now I'm going to move over here, go over there, bust these 3 towns, and do 12 damage. Bam,
so
like,
you're saying the ceiling is very high?
I think the ceiling is incredibly high. Now, of course, there are other characters that have phenomenal ceilings as well, but just in different areas. But you cannot underestimate or ignore Thunderspeaker's dominance in the offense category.
But they came in second.
They did come in second.
They got beat by somebody. That's interesting.
It's true.
After all that praise and acclaim.
Yep. But credit where credit is due, Thunderspeaker will always remain as one of the tried and true fallbacks for, Thunderspeaker's just phenomenal.
I've even made the argument of they get weaker with the more expansions because it's harder for them to find their Dahan majors, but you kind of already have a major with your innates and your power cards.
And they put in certain majors in these new expansions that are really good for them anyways.
Exactly.
Then, on to our number 1 with 30%.
Another jump.
The numbers went from 3 to 6% to 16% to 19% to 30%. Our gold medalist, this makes me very happy, Heart of the Wildfire.
What?
For a long time, Heart of the Wildfire, from my eyes, was hardly being used by anyone for a while.
I think people should look up old tier lists from like 2018,
you never saw them.
Never saw them.
Pre-Jagged Earth, you never saw them.
Yeah. B tier,
because
C tier.
Blight was still in everyone's psyche as
bad.
Regarded as this horrible, awful thing. And Blight can be if you wield it improperly. But the thing is Wildfire might be one of the simplest, most honest forms of offense out there. It's fire.
Burn.
Even when you ignore the mechanics and you look at the thematics, when we look at the elements and whatnot, lightning we've covered. Okay, electricity, okay, cool. I guess it's a common enough element, but it's still like a unique element that you don't see very often. You see volcano. Okay, volcanoes are awesome. Lava and whatnot, they're huge, but those aren't all over the world. It's not like a simple thing. It's like a rare thing. Fangs, beasts, the ocean. Obviously, ocean is very powerful. Water can be very damaging and whatnot. Disease can be very damaging, but these things aren't like super common. The natives with Thunderspeaker, that makes sense. You know, in the Spirit Islands context, are all over the place. But just simply put, the element of fire. Devastating. It's aggressive. It's intense.
It spreads.
Right. It spreads. It's heated. You know, like when you look at Avatar Last Airbender, you have earth, you have water, you have air. These are all various elements that have so many emotions behind them. But then you get to fire, and it's like, oh
aggression,
yeah, that's
anger.
Right. That's
vengeance.
the one. Right. So to see that the element of fire is the number one attacker fits. And I'm very satisfied by that.
Are you surprised that they beat out Thunderspeaker?
Honestly, a little bit, yeah. Like I said, I agree with this. Heck, Wildfire is my attacker.
There you go.
I love Wildfire. I'm very happy to see Wildfire up here. But I thought Thunderspeaker was going to take number one.
Yeah, I know.
Thunderspeaker has been out for a while. Now, I understand that Wildfire has also been around for just as long, but seeing how Wildfire was in the original promotional pack and Thunderspeaker was in the base game, Thunderspeaker would naturally have a little bit more availability than Heart of the Wildfire. So, that said, I have gone many times in the past over how awesome Wildfire's capabilities are to do damage even before the turn in the growth phase. That's how fast it is. It's faster than fast.
It's before fast.
It's before
What's
fast.
that? I think what's cool about them is they're kind of also a jack of all trades. You can heal blight. You can give boon to other people.
Yeah, you can give energy to other people.
You have
can
control
boost
cards.
Damage.
Lots of fear. Boost damage.
That's rare, by the way, boosting damage. And you might be surprised at how big of a difference getting +1 damage is.
Oh, as a
Seriously.
river player.
That's huge. Because 1 damage now takes out a town. 2 damage now takes out a city. That's big.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. The innate of Firestorm. Not only is it powerful, but it's flexible. You can split up how many lands it goes into. Sure, you have to level it up a little bit, but still, you've heard me talk about how wonderful it is to be like, well, 4 explorers in 4 different lands do 1 damage in each one. Beep, 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 beep. You're all dead. And that's 4 lands that are clear. I don't have to worry about those ones. Or, hey, maybe you want to do 3 in one and 2 in another. Or, at its maximum, you can just be like, destroy all invaders.
Yeah.
What?
So, I think...
Infinite damage. Sure, it's not like super common. It's kind of hard to get to. But you actually have access to infinite damage. Who has that?
So, I don't say Serpent has that, but so Serpent has their, like, Snake Quake, right? And you can kind of give this...
Snake Quake.
You can give this Earthquake to the whole island, right? And that's really cool. I think it's a little bit overrated. I like Wildfire's innate better.
Yeah.
Easier to obtain. Like you said, maybe 4 damage, but sometimes you don't need all that damage that Snake is bringing. Sometimes you just need 4. And take out a city
when
and
it
explore.
comes to Serpent, Wildfire, or Thunderspeaker, each one of those 3 spirits has
Huge
access
damage.
to something that is like super crazy awesome that a lot of the times you don't need. Not saying that you don't need it, but saying you don't need it to that extreme. So like for instance, I have 20 damage worth of bad guys. Thunderspeaker did 70. Awesome, that is dope. I needed 20 of that 70.
But achievement unlocked.
Right. But it was really cool to get that high of number.
Right.
Serpent being able to do 57 damage in 14 lands. Maybe I only needed to do 40 damage in 10 lands. Cool. So the excess 4 lands and the excess 17 damage wasn't technically needed, but it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, Wildfire, hey, I got 30 health worth of bad guys. I did infinite damage. Okay, I only need 30 of that infinity, but still it's kind of fun to be like,
still cool.
Bam. So what I'm getting at is those characters have the capacity for overkill. But I think
Wildfire's more efficient.
Wildfire's is the most efficient with that overkill, because if you don't want to go and do the infinite damage, you can choose to split it up instead.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Thunderspeaker can't be, you know what, I don't need 70 damage here, I'll split it up and put it there, put it some here, put some there. It's like, well, here's my Dahan, here's my presence, I'm in the spot, That's it. I can only do the damage right here where I'm at right now.
That's what we are praising Volcano for, being able to do damage in separate lands.
Yes.
That's what I like about Wildfire and that innates, where you can do damage in lands that you are in.
It is kind of like Volcano, isn't it?
It is.
Only you're not as restricted to mountains.
Exactly.
Now, of course, this comes with the caveat of you, the player, have to be very careful.
Sure.
But still, the thing is turn 3 onwards, Wildfire can remove a blight every single turn for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do. Make sure you get the elements on your tracks from both top and bottom, and then you can just be like, yeah.
Unless Earth is playing, you are probably going to be the blight removal on your team, or Downpour.
Right.
If you don't have those two spirits, you're probably going to be removing the most blights.
When I've played with Wildfire...
Because we talked about this, I hate Keeper's blight card.
Yeah.
The blight removal. But it's not in a wetland.
You've heard me talk about it. It's my least favorite blight removal card in the game. I'm glad to have one.
Sure.
But it has 2 strings attached. Ugh. Has to be in a specific land, and there has to be a certain number of blight. So, anyway, we're not talking about Keeper right now. We're talking about Wildfire. So, yes, I definitely agree with you. In my games with Wildfire was actually the character with the number 1 most amount of blight removed in a game.
Which is funny.
And like I've said before, one thing that's so great is that since Wildfire starts with 2 extra blight on the field, once you heal that blight, your threshold actually has 2 more blight than when you actually started with. That's really nice.
Oh, it's incredible. Speaking of not talking about Keeper during this, neither were the voters for offense.
Yeah, interestingly enough. Well, I think
didn't
that's
make the
salient.
top 5.
I think that's okay because...
You've already spoken on Tower of Wrath. Keeper can go off.
They can't.
Why don't the voters think so?
I think they're more famous for their defense and prevention than they are anything else.
Okay.
And I also think that they're famous for people saying that Growth 4 is just way too OP. Like, they're not famous for
double
offense.
growth
You know what I mean?
return.
Like, yes, they can go ham, but they're famous for other things.
For being rich.
Right. And like we said, we made the qualifier that, this is an all-star list. I'm guessing that the multifaceted peeps aren't going to be represented here. And Immense Lightning, Fangs, Ocean Vengeance, Lightning, Starlight, Lure, those are more simple attackers than Keeper is, I would say. But that's just my opinion. So, your top 5 when it comes to everyone's votes. In 5th place, we had Lightning, Starlight, and Lure. But then in 4th place, Immense Lightning, Fangs, Ocean, and Vengeance made everyone's attackers list. Volcano made it on 16% of everyone's lists. Thunderspeaker came in at 19% of everyone's lists. And Wildfire was number 1.
30%.
I'm actually surprised by that.
Yeah, me too.
Very happy. I'm not complaining, but I am a little surprised by this one. On to Control!
You're not going to be surprised about this.
Control, this is the fastest one. This one doesn't even have a top 5. We only have a top 3 because the votes were just so simple.
I don't know when I want to say this. I might say it now. Because you're talking about there's only a top 3 instead of a top 5. One thing I've noticed just in looking at the game, because I love Control and I love playing controllers, there aren't too many, like, quote-unquote controllers in this game where that's the main spirit's focus. At least with, like, moving bad guys around.
It actually is quite rare to have a spirit completely exemplify one thing.
Because a lot of spirits start with a power card that has control capabilities, but it's like one card.
Right.
Or they have, like, one innate that does something like Miss. I would say Miss is part control, but it's not their identity.
Right. And even the very beginner controller, River, certainly is very high in control, but they also have access to really good offense.
Sure.
And so we're dodging around it. You know where we're going.
I know.
All
right. I'm trying to stretch this out. This is going to be a quick one.
You know who's at the top.
You know who we're dancing around. So in last place, find her. Okay, fine. Top 3. Here we go.
So we actually have a tie, a 5-way tie for 3rd place.
This was interesting.
Each of these spirits had 3% representation among the voters.
A scattering of the votes.
Lure, they're back. Starlight, they're back.
Can you say there shouldn't be there? They can be anything they want.
They are 5th place for offense, Starlight and Lure.
Starlight can keep coming up.
But also Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares, Foreboding Shadows, and Thunderspeaker, they're back.
I mean, all those are very control-focused spirits.
Yep, no, it definitely is. And the thing that's interesting about Control is Control has multiple applications. It could be the movement of bad guys, it could be the movement of good guys.
Yeah.
It can be the movement of a little bit of both, or it can be the movement of tokens. Spreading rod. So
make Spreading Around official, please.
So it's interesting to see how the numbers show up here. Lure and Starlight, once again, they could be put on so many categories.
Yep.
Lure, pulling people in with softly beckon ever inward.
Such a strong card.
And forsake society to chase after dreams also can downgrade a city and yoink, pull them right in. Honestly, incredibly consistent. And if you can get to your Reclaim 1, that's one of my favorite things to consistently spam. Just like a vacuum.
Yeah, just keep
grab people
pulling that card.
And it's so great because that's how you can yoink people off the coastal lands to bring them inland with that card.
That's why I don't think that nerf is a nerf.
Right.
And I'll keep saying that.
You can only go on inlands ain't so bad.
You're a controller. You bring people to you.
Right. It's great. Starlight, oh my goodness, that Aeronate. It's not the only thing of theirs that can control people, but being able to manipulate towns or explorers in the fast.
Push 2 explorers or 1 town, target land any in the fast phase.
It's huge.
There's the Aeronate.
Being able to move towns or explorers isn't what's big. It's being allowed to move multiple and in the fast. That is what is huge.
And that's not where their control stops. They have the Mooninate where they can gather in explorers and Dahan.
Right. Now that one's slow, but the air one is
slow.
fast.
Good point.
I'm saying the reason why the air one is so famous in my brain is because it's fast.
Before they even build anything.
Yeah, but it's true. They have multiple ways to control. Bringer, totally see it. Thing with Bringer is that, yes, they have fear, but their fear, since they can't kill anyone, has this cool little string attached, which is if you would kill someone and you terrify them, they are scared silly, they run.
They leave their town behind.
Yeah.
Or they move up their town somewhere else.
And I like it thematically, you scare them into a tizzy, and you can kind of like move people around.
It makes sense that wouldn't happen to a city, because that's like too many people to terrify. I mean, you can make them all go mad and get 5 fear
They're
from it.
They're more huddled in their basements in a fetal position with drool on their chin than they are.
Because they built up a city. It's hard to move.
Right. And so Bringer pairs fantastically with Ocean because, hey, you can shove people right to the drink. But being able to scare people so that they can move is great. Now, the thing that's important to know here is that it's not simple control straight up. It's you have to scare them first, then they move.
So you kind of need to do damage.
Yep.
Quote unquote destroy them.
Quote unquote damage.
So you're kind of also a damager or like an attacker.
Yep. And if you're not familiar with Bringer, Dreams, and Nightmares, they are a spirit that cannot influence the physical realm. They only exist in the ethereal realm. And so they prey on the bad guys' nightmares and their minds while they're sleeping. And so the thing is they can perform many illusions. Like in the lore, I'm like kind of having fun thematically trying to think of how they manifest themselves. They're like creating illusions. They're like freaking people out and things that aren't necessarily real, but they...
I think of like Paralyzing Fright where they see this thing in the window. It might not even be in the window. They're just like scared, screaming like, what is that?
Right. And so if you're unfamiliar with them, if ever Bringer would damage something, it actually doesn't do damage, but instead will scare them. Instead, it generates fear. And so when people are scared, if you can generate enough fear on certain targets, you can make them run in a tizzy. So that is what we are meaning by quote-unquote damage cards.
Yes.
So then we have Foreboding Shadows.
All right, here I go. Another soapbox.
Here we go again. They're the best. We're back again. Round 3.
They have 2 fast control powers as innates that always come up. 1 moon.
Well, the more and more times we go over this, you are further more galvanized.
Because I went back and listened to the France episode. I'm like, oh, I might just be saying this because we had a good game. And it was just like kind of like a throwaway comment. And I'm just like, yes.
What really carries a lot of salience for me when it comes to Foreboding Shadows is that innate doesn't just stop with one action. For the entire turn, when you mark a land, it is active. So someone else can cascade an effect off of it if you yourself, who isn't Shadows, wants to do a thing there.
Listener at home, one thing I've noticed, or has helped me, because like Ryan said, it can go through the entirety of the turn. Place one of your reminder tokens on the land so you yourself can remember in the slow phase.
No, seriously.
And then your other teammates can be like, oh, this is the marked land where if I just do damage or fear here, we can move those guys out.
Right. And then we have Thunderspeaker. Thunderspeaker very much can influence a lot of pieces with control, notably Dahan. Now, they are exclusively Dahan manipulation. They can't natively do any... Get it? Because they move natives. They can't natively shove bad guys around. But, of course, you can find stuff in the decks and whatnot.
They are so focused on Dahan.
Yeah. And so when I see... Right, when people hear the word control, what do you think of? Do you think moving bad guys or moving good guys?
I think moving in plastic.
If you think moving good guys, Thunderspeaker totally.
Oh, yeah.
I myself prefer to move bad guys more than moving good guys, but that's just my personal play style. In light of that, I would have preferred to see Fangs up on here because people don't really think about Fangs as a controller. But like I've said with Terrifying Chase, you can shove so many bad guys. You could easily shove 8 towns and explorers.
Yeah, that card stacks. I don't think people either read far enough or they only have one beast and land.
Right.
Just bring beasts and land. That thing can stack and just push out so much. It's crazy.
And like I said, it's just one of those things where sometimes it's easy to forget that someone has a certain thing when they themselves are famous for another thing. Because Threatening Flames is also a really good control card.
Wildfire card.
But that's Wildfire's card. Wait. Isn't Wildfire like crazy offense? Whoa, like, do you see what I mean? How it's easy to forget that someone has a really good control card sometimes? Yeah. But that's totally fine. It's people's opinion. It's only 3%, so that doesn't mean a lot of people think this way. So anyway.
To the two of you, to the two of you that voted for Thunderspeaker.
So, Lure, Starlight, Bringer, Foreboding Shadows, and Thunderspeaker were on 3% of all the people's votes. In second place with 12%, we go from 3% to 12%.
It's a jump.
River.
Hey.
Yep, and just good old base River. Once again, River is just phenomenal. How many times have we seen River in the top 5 of any of these kind of adversary series, these offshoot fun surveys that we do? Just River is just all over the place.
People love River. I'm kind of surprised River didn't show up on offense, but I know it takes time to get to the big boom.
That's fair, and this is the all-star team, meaning there is one spot open on your list. Who gets it? So,
good point.
River, phenomenal when it comes to control. It's simple control and it's easy to understand control.
You can move to Han and plastic.
I do think Travel River has a lot of fun when it comes to control because you can make a super highway of sadness. So that's what I've called it. Travel River has this fun thing where if you orient your presence in a line and you shove people, you can shove them down the line of your presence. So instead of moving them just one land, you can move them down this river of yours and they can go significantly farther than just one land.
Go fight a battle for you. It's awesome.
So that's what I meant by making a super highway is because you can construct a freeway, a big long road, and you can send people down that river.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
And so it's a lot of fun. River has been around for a very long time.
There's Sunshine that no one plays. Just the 3 people on Discord that's like, Sunshine's good. Like, even you don't think they're good.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far. Sunshine just has different stresses. They are much better with energy than they are control. So
a major focus.
Right. But the thing is River has been out there for a while. River has been out since the base and has had the benefit of time to get into people's knowledge base of being a good, solid controller.
Could have been someone's first spirit they played.
For so long.
Yeah. All right, here we are. It's Finder.
58%.
It's Finder.
58. That is easily the highest percentage out of all of these categories. Spoiler alert, nobody beat 58%. It's Finder of Paths Unseen. Wow, what a shock.
You did guess this in last week's episode. That Finder,
come on.
Yeah,
who didn't guess this?
Yep.
There's one spirit in the game who completely exemplifies one category, and that is Finder with control. Have you seen their summary of powers? Boom! You look at the bars, and some are like, okay, like little apartment buildings. Some are like, a little favela. Some are like this tiny little, like, a ranch and a double wide, And then there's just like the friggin' Empire State Building.
And then the next one's like underground because it's offense.
Right. Now, Fractured Days does have a very big utility bar, but it's not nearly as big as Finder's control bar.
Do you think anyone else will be able to move cities in the game coming out?
Maybe. I don't know. When I think of moving cities, there are 3 people that come to mind. Lure can move cities, Shadows can move cities, and so can Finder. Now, Finder can do it the easiest because they don't have to interact with the building before they can move it. Technically, Lure and Shadows can't actually move cities while they're cities, but they have this cool mechanic where they can break them down and then move the bad guys that was just broken down. So to me, functionally, that's moving a city.
Okay.
So in truth, only one character at the moment can move cities, and that's Finder. So
one comment you had last week, which I loved, and I can't believe I didn't think of it, where it kind of cemented how good the spirit is. I do think Finder might be one of the best defensive spirits.
Seriously, because nobody can exemplify prevention quite like they can.
Yeah.
And the defense is exclusively prevention. That is it. They cannot stop incoming damage at all. It's only preventing.
Yep.
That is the defense that they have. But prevention is a form of defense. Now, to hear that, that's not very satisfying when you have, 13 damage coming right at you in your face.
I'm really good at defense.
I'm really good at defense. Yeah, you go in there, you just take a Louisville Slugger to the chin. Pow! Ow!
Not that defense.
Said they're good at defense. But there's an asterisk, and that asterisk is that they can prevent stuff. So, like I said, it's not very satisfying when you have a big problem and someone says, hey, how do I fix this problem? Well, the best problem is to not deal with it in the first place. Well, that's not a lot of help to me right now.
What if I have the problem?
Right.
Yeah.
The problem's
Too
in my
late.
face. It's kind of hard to prevent stuff when bad guys start on the board.
It makes me think of when I'm going for majors, I need something in the fast phase, like all slows. It's like Savage Transformation. I'm like, oh no.
Oh no.
I needed Winds of Rust and Atrophy.
Right. Remember how we were talking about how when it comes to control, there's controlling good guys, there's controlling bad guys, there's controlling beasts and presence, that kind of thing.
Can anyone do all of that?
So yeah, Finder can do it all. So that's one of the reasons why their control bar is probably pegged so high. I remember I just laughed when I saw Finder's control rating.
It is hilarious.
I just laughed so hard. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this kid. Jeez. I mean, they can move presence, they can move Dahan, they can move beasts, they can move bad guys, and all of the bad guys. And they could literally teleport them.
They can move presence. You can get your own presence into the ocean.
Right.
And then just teleport things into the ocean.
Have you ever played Portal?
Yeah. Oh, Portal 2, one of the best games.
Have you ever had fun playing Portal?
Yeah.
Well, you can have that same kind of fun with Finder.
Another fun puzzle game.
Right. And we talked about this in the past, but I love how when you guys made your custom tokens, your presence tokens were the portals, the orange and blue portals from that game.
I got the orange box with Half-Life 2.
Check out our Instagram for pictures of it. It's really cool. So I thought that was just like a fun, it's perfect. You have
the
to.
KSP 123.
Yeah. That's our Instagram handle. But I mean, what can you really say? This is the easiest one that we all saw coming. Finder being number 1 for control. So our top 3 when it comes to control, with our 5-way tie for bronze medalist, Lure, again, Starlight, here again, Thunderspeaker, again, we saw them on offense, but Bringer and Foreboding as well.
2 fear spirits.
Yep. Then River in second place. That totally makes sense. When it comes to the gold and silver medalist, it's exactly who I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Maybe not at these percentages, but definitely first and second. River at silver and Finder at gold.
Yeah.
So no surprise there. On to fear. This is probably, when it comes to the ones I was really the most interested in looking at, I wanted to see everyone's offense, defense, and fear.
Okay.
Kind of interested in utility because that one has some really fun.
And wait till we get there. Wait till we get there.
Variable opinions there. But I was very curious to see fear, defense, and offense because I feel as if fear, defense, offense are the most covered categories within the spirits. I think that control and utility aren't as covered as they are fear, defense, and offense throughout the roster in the game. So, like I said with offense, I was very curious to see who we're going to have. And when it comes to fear, I was very curious to see who we're going to have. So, 3% of all the voters had Sharp Fangs at number 1. That was awesome. 3% of the voters said that Sharp Fangs was their fear character.
I mean, it is their highest bar, is it not?
It is.
The summary of powers.
In fact.
One thing I looked up, I looked at everyone's unique starting hand, their starting powers, their 4 cards, maybe 5 or 6, if you're a specialty spirit.
And seeing many minds or Finder.
And seeing how much fear they generate. I know you can do damage and generate fear, but like the card says 3 fear, 2 fear.
Right.
Sharp Fangs came in second place with 6 fear out of all the spirits. Second place highest.
Yeah.
And just their starting cards. You forget how scary of a spirit this is.
They really are. And a lot of people look at them at control and a lot of people look at them at offense. But like I said before, fear is their number 1 thing. They're a fear spirit.
If you're doing 6 fear, if you're playing 4 cards and you're doing Ranging Hunt and you got your right innate, which I always forget because I never play it.
Frenzied Assault.
Frenzied Assault. How much fear are you doing?
Seriously, yeah. And Frenzied Assault gets you fear as well.
Oh, yeah, and destruction. I think they're a terrifying spirit.
It's fantastic. And we've said before, Sharp Fangs has been in many games the number 1 fear generator.
Because it's consistent. It might
very consistent.
It might not be 6 fear every turn, but it's like 3, 4. And then it scales up because the spirit gets stronger.
I love playing as consistent fear peeps. You know that.
Need it. Yeah,
you
need it.
So 3% of all the peeps said Sharp Fangs. Then, in 4th place at 6%, we have Pandemonium Lightning.
Hey, this was my pick.
Yep, this was your pick. So I'm actually very happy to see them because
not many aspects.
Very new. Yeah, the aspects. We've only seen 2 aspects so far in the form of Foreboding Shadows for control and Immense Lightning for offense.
Yep.
But I was very happy to see yet another aspect appear here for 4th place, Pandemonium Lightning. Now, Pandemonium Lightning's fear comes in from their innate, but they can get 11 fear, which is phenomenal.
And just go card plays and try and get to that 11 fear.
Right, so to have Pandemonium Lightning as the fear spirit, one thing that's really great is not only can you get access to really decent fear generation, but you also still retain the speed upgrades that you're handing out to friends.
I love Lightning's Boon. So you still have that utility. That is such a good 2 powers. It doesn't matter if they're minor, major, innates. You can make 2 powers fast.
Yep.
That's great. I love it.
Yep. When it comes to just the top 5 support cards, Gift of Proliferation's in there.
Yes.
Boon of Vigor's in there. Gift of Abundance in there. But Lightning's Boon is also in there.
Oh, yeah. It's so very strong.
Lightning's Boon makes Lightning incredibly famous.
I think I might like this kit better than base Lightning because Harbingers of Lightning now has a use for me.
Yep.
Pushing those to Han and then being able to strife it. Before,
I love that these aspects change.
They do change the spirit.
Certain values of original cards. Like Wind Lightning makes Raging Storm a bit better because you can control Explorers now.
Good point.
But then, like you said, Harbingers of Lightning gets better with Pandemonium Lightning because now those Tahan that are moving around can feed in perfectly with the strife that you're putting on bad guys so you can finally protect those Tahan. Before, I'd be like, all right, Harbingers of Lightning, we bring the lightning. Then they die 2 seconds later. You guys did great.
Thanks for the fear.
So long, and thanks for all the fear.
It's so true, though. I mean, that's literally what that card was. It was just a fear card.
Right, and I didn't like it, but it was just like, I don't have a defend card.
Yeah. Because the spirit, arguably, is probably more defensive than fear, right?
I consider strife to be a defensive thing.
So I thought this spirit...
Because it's preventative.
Yes. I know I put the spirit as my fear spirit, but I could see the argument that they are more defensive with Pandemonium than fear. But they're kind of both, and they still have damage with Shattered Homesteads. So they do check a lot of boxes. I see why they're in the top 4.
Then we get to our bronze medalist. We have a tie. This is the only tie that we have.
Oh, okay, good.
Thankfully, it's a tie between 2 people. So I'm glad that if there is a tie, it's only 2 people, because I hate it when we have a tie with 4 or 5 people, because I feel as if it's hard when you're listening to these things to remember who it all was.
Who else was there?
It's a lot. So
I feel like Thunderspeaker's always there.
Just Lure and River will always be up there regardless of the list.
Unless it's England. Bye-bye, River.
We'll get to there.
Okay.
Anyway, so 12% of all the voters said that Many Minds and Mist were their fear character
Makes
of
complete
choice.
sense.
Oh, definitely understand it. Many Minds can just spam fear. Many Minds is absolutely phenomenal. Honestly, fear might be one of the best things that they do. Seriously.
They remind me a lot of Pandemonium Lightning with fear and defense, because they can defend and then generate so much fear.
No, genuinely. Genuinely. And it's interesting that Many Minds, we never saw them on control because they are controlling so many beasts and can even move bad guys.
That's true, Ryan.
Whatever, that's fine. Yeah. People's opinions are what they are. But Many Minds is also new,
Good point.
Many Minds may be more famous for prevention and for fear than they are control.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, it's cool to see where everyone voted. Now, the thing is, it's funny that Many Minds on their board says, in lower player count games, outright fear victories may be possible. It was funny because I used to be able to remember how many fear victories I've had pre-Jagged Earth. And I was able to remember, I've had 3, I've had 4, I've had 5.
And this what happened. I was playing this adversary, and these were my teammates.
Since Jagged Earth has come out, I'm somewhere in the double digits now with how many times I've gotten a fear victory.
Well, I've been playing a lot of foreboding shit. Ryan's like, again, John?
Point being, I've been starting to get a lot more fear victories nowadays in general than I have terror victories. But where I'm going with this is, with all of the fear victories that I've gotten, it's about maybe 9, 10, 12, something like that. 2 or 3 of those fear victories did not have Many Minds.
Whoa!
Many Minds has been on the team pretty much
90%?
90% of the time I've gotten a fear victory, Many Minds was there.
I believe it.
They rake in the fear.
Talk about consistent.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Every turn.
And Shroud of Silent Mist, if you want to talk about consistent fear.
Oh, gosh.
Also, what a wonderful, consistent fear-generating person. Now,
I think you need to be a little more thinky with Mist.
I think so. I think the thing here, though, when it comes to Many Minds and Mist, is that both of them have two things that are great. One thing that's like,
Okay.
And what I mean by that is Many Minds, great prevention and great mobility. Awesome. What's the downside? Your offense is just
nil.
Literally nothing. You start off with 0 attacks.
Cross your fingers for those events.
Right. The beta version allowed you to do at least some damage. And the thing is, it's not as if you're not allowed to do damage like Finder, where it's like you're handicapped by it. It's you literally don't have anything.
You have that
It's going to war in a tank that has no guns on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you can't find cards and do damage. It's just you don't have anything. That's what's shocking. It's not that you have little offense. You have nothing. You have nothing. You have to find it all or get awesome lucky events, which I have seen, and it's phenomenal. But that's the thing to remember. It's like, when it comes to Mist, you have great mobility, you have great access to fear, and you have great access to offense.
Yes.
So what's the weird thing to remember? You gotta keep people alive. And a lot of people find that odd, and it's kind of hard because nobody else wants to do that in the game so far.
It's kind of hard to unlearn that.
Right.
I think the base or the community is struggling with Mist for that reason, keeping things alive.
Yep. And so I don't think it's as hard to do once you realize how much that strategy benefits you. But like you said, it is such a clash from how everyone else plays.
Get the plastic off the board.
Right. That it can be odd. So Many Minds and Mist definitely have things you got to work with. But both of these characters can just rake in the fear. I mean, Mist did 82 fear in our 2-player game that we did. And for a 2-player game, that's a lot.
It is. It's a ton.
Right. It's a ton. And you know me.
And you had bad card draws.
I don't want people to
think like, oh, he pulled like Paralyzing Fright and spam that. No, you didn't get that.
I had the worst card draws ever.
I think the worst I've ever seen.
Right.
You're like, another fire card.
Oh, I love Mist so much. Now, of course, when I talk about Shroud of Silent Mist, it's usually from the perspective of an individual who loves them, and I do. So I'm very, very happy to see them in bronze. I'm okay if you don't love Mist. That's fine. They are totally different.
It's tricky. It's a tricky
It's
spirit.
tricky. Yep. I'm not going to pretend that they're not tricky, but oh my goodness, I love them so much. And Minds, if you've played with Minds, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Okay, that's 4 fear. Okay, cool. Wait, didn't you do like 4 fear last turn?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do here. It's another 2 fear. I'm going to play this card. Oh, that's right. I'm going to do this, and it's 2... Oh, it's 3 fear. Sorry. You know what I mean? Have you seen a Many Minds player like calculate the fear?
It keeps adding up, and you keep seeing the total going higher.
Right. It's great. Now, the thing is you look at Many Minds' board, and you're like, there's a lot of bad guys there, chum. But, like, you see all the fear cards also coming in. You're like, you know, I think I'm okay with this.
Unless Laura top decks sea monsters, and she's like, oh, first card pull? How did this happen again?
This spirit is amazing.
I'm like, Laura, how do you always pull sea monsters? It's like, have you seen those old poker players where they had like keep the ace of spades up their sleeve? That's what Laura does. She's got this contraption like spits out the old sea monsters like uncapped fear. She's like, anyway.
Look out the window, guys. It's a fire truck. We turn around. Ooh, Tiger's hunting.
Any beast power.
How'd this get
here? Anyway, are you guys ready to play or what?
Anyway. It's like those people who, like Hogan's Heroes when he's playing chess and he, like, knocks something over, so he bends over and he, like, moves the chess pieces around when he comes back. Hey, wait a minute.
Hey, checkmate. Oh, okay.
Anyway, but yes, Many Minds Mist being at the bronze medalist position in 3rd place. 12% of all the voters had these characters as their fear characters. Totally get it. I had Mist for mine. Laura had Many Minds for hers. So that's totally fine.
All of ours made the top 5.
It's true. So moving on to 2nd place. Now this one both does and doesn't surprise me. 15% of all the peeps said that Ocean's Hungry Grasp was their fear generator.
I'll give everyone a peek behind the curtain. If you haven't gone and clicked on the link that we are leaving in the description below, this got some traction, controversy, some discussion. Yes, Ocean
a lot of people. Now, for me personally, I usually view Ocean in the alignment of attacker more than I do fear. Now, I honestly classify them as a scary attacker. That's what I literally have them in my head. Like, that's their title in my head, a scary attacker. Meaning meaning that they are offense primarily with fear on the side. Like, you know how Bringer is fear primarily with control on the side?
Definitely.
Or River is control primarily with offense on the side. I look at Ocean as offense primarily with fear on the side. So pound ships into splinters is a simple innate that simply just generates fear.
Sure.
Awesome. It's great. A lot of people are looking at that as probably like this fear factory, and it's great. It's one of the reasons why Bringer and Ocean pair so well together.
They're awesome. Ooh, and Foreboding and Ocean.
Right.
Pair really well together.
Yet, still, Ocean placed higher on fear with this poll than they did with offense. They're 4th place for offense, but 2nd place for fear.
They're hard for me to define because I kind of just view Ocean's Hungry Grasp as just the ocean tile. You're just unlocking something. Yeah. And whatever you do is fine and great. Like, you can drown things, and you can give me 2 energy and push something, and you can generate fear. But for you, it's just like opening up that ocean tile. That's all that Spirit... Me, because I don't play them enough to view them more.
I have many comments on Ocean in general that we're going to get to in our tier list.
Tier list.
Because I got words to speak when it comes to Ocean. Anyway, so as it relates to fear, though, I definitely see it. I honestly would have put many minds over Ocean or mist over Ocean. Because, yes, it's just one innate that they're famous for. They have other ways to get fear as well. It's not like that one innate is the only way to get it. The fact that they can kill people so fast gets them a ton of fear in the same way that Wildfire or Lightning can get a ton of fear too.
So how is Ocean different because of the needs, right?
But, you know, being fair, Lightning did, in fact, make it on here for fear in the form of Pandemonium Lightning.
Good point.
But still, you know, you get what I'm saying. I totally see it. But yeah, Ocean, to me personally, is an attacker before I look at them as a fear generator, in my own personal opinion. But that's exactly what that is, my personal opinion. So when it comes to people's team synergies, it's going to be cool to see how, okay, you have Ocean as your fear character. Well, that means they had someone else that they thought was exemplifying offense even more directly. And that's fair. So,
and that's a strong team where you have basically 2 offensive characters and one can tap into fear.
Was Ocean on Laura's team? I can't remember. There's so many attackers.
I don't know. It was attacker. I don't know if Keeper's ever on her list or never on her list. She always talks about Keeper.
She loves Keeper, but it's
the guy that she tells you not to worry about. No. I just like talking about it. He's just my friend, babe. What? You guys always hang out.
You guys always hang out, but I never see him.
We're going for massages anyway. What? Anyway, Keeper.
So Ocean is the silver medalist with 15%. Then at 42%.
Another high victory.
This is another easy win. I think this is the 2nd place for the highest margin of victory, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So just as Finder was easily the gold medalist for control, the gold medalist for fear is Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares.
Finally,
they take the gold in something.
Finally, someone likes them. They've been making so many of our bottom 5s.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually really glad to see this because when it comes to the ultimate fear character, I feel as if this is the kind of list where they can finally have an opportunity to shine because their fear ceiling is easily the highest, in my personal opinion.
Can I go on a mini rant?
Go for it.
And make even more of our audience upset with me.
Go for it. I got my Snapple. Okay. I'm ready.
Like you said, Bringer, highest potential, highest ceiling, 100%. We've heard battle reports and read from listeners talking about 20 fear in a turn, 30 fear from one card. Me and Laura saw Tim get 40-some fear in one turn of a game. And that's great. It's incredible. It's a sight to behold. I have also seen the not-so-good Bringer games. We don't find that big damage major, and you kind of keep sifting. You're not finding anything good, and then the events take away your Dahan, which was your defense or counterattack, and then... I don't know. I think people remember these highs, kind of like the Serpent. Serpent was in our Fun 5, and we're like, no one ever talks about Serpent.
Yep.
But people have these high memories, like 49 fear, one card. But like...
No, the opinion you have is the exact same one that I have as well.
It's just how I feel, dude.
When it comes to fear and Bringer, it's the exact same thing as Sharp Fanged or Wildfire versus Thunderspeaker with offense.
Okay.
Thunderspeaker has access to probably the most consistent high damage ceiling.
High damage.
Right. But then there's consistency and actually doing it. So yes, Bringer has the most, but they're easily not the most consistent. Sharp Fangs, Foreboding Shadows, Many Minds, Mist, heck, even Ocean is more consistent
at fear.
Right, at fear, even if they don't get it. How many times have you played a game with Bringer, even if you're not playing with them, where they transitioned more into a defensive support role?
Oh.
How many times have you seen that?
I would
I've
say
seen
half
that
and
all
half.
the time.
Half and half.
Yeah, 50% of the time.
Or more, like you're saying.
Right. Now, the thing is I look at this with the same lens that I look at a lot of games with. When it comes to various amount of games, whether it be like a video game with shooting or a tabletop war game, like Lord of the Rings Middle-earth strategy battle game, or like Warhammer or something, there are a lot of various strategies in all these various games, and one of the most popular is, would you rather hit your target more often or do more damage when you actually do hit your target? So, for instance, if I'm playing a game like a shooter perhaps, would you rather have a gun that does, this gun does 10 damage, but the sniper rifle does like 50 damage, and it can one-shot you.
Nice.
But it only one-shots you if it's headshots.
And you have to be accurate.
If you never miss your shots, that sniper rifle is the best gun in the game.
Best gun, broken.
But the submachine gun, no, it can't kill you in one shot, but you're going to kill so much faster with that submachine because you hit him in the foot, hit him in the body shots, hit him in the head. It's so much easier to...
You're allowed to be less accurate, but you can still hit your target.
Right. Or, would I rather hit my target more often or do more damage when I do? I am so much on the former.
I would rather play with a mist where you're consistently, every time time passes, you're getting 3 fear, 5 fear.
Right, and I'm not devaluing doing a ton of fear when you find that awesome combination of cards that you found in the power deck, where you can go to these crazy high fear yields, and it's phenomenal. It's insane. You can get briny deep with them, destroy all invaders, and like, oh my goodness, look at all this fear that just showed up.
5 fear per city? That's insane.
Right, and these cool corner cases where you have someone else on your team, like Downpour or Mist, that's lowering the bad guy health, so it can be like, bam, I can milk this city indefinitely for
even
5
Green.
fear turn. Right, even Green can do that. The ceiling of how much fear Bringer can bring in is absolutely insane. But the amount of times that actually happens is very different than, its capacity to reach those things, and that's really important. So, that said, I'm very glad to see them this high because seeing as they have such a claim on fear, it's interesting when you think about their claim to fear. You would think that their claim to fear is just as salient as Finder's claim to control, but that claim is only because they can't do anything else, not because it's actually the best. You see what I mean? Finder's is actually the best at control. I'm not sure Bringer's the actual best at fear.
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think so.
How can I say such a sacrilegious thing? Don't you know, Ryan, that they're famous for fear? Yes,
40
I know.
fear, 1 card. You have to pull that card.
But you have to find that one. But look, Foreboding Shadows just got like 13 this turn. Pandemonium Lightning just did 15 this turn.
Yeah, 8 10
Many
fear.
Mind just grabbed 8.
8
How
fear.
did you do? I did like 4, 5.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm just waiting for my big card, guy. I'm waiting for my big card.
And like I said, it's all about the game. It's all about the variables. It's all about the cards that you find. I get that. The events, I get that. I'm not trying to slander their name. I'm just saying they are so woefully committed to one kind of play style.
One type of growth?
Yeah.
Where you're stuck at 2 card plays for 3 times.
I hate that.
So you basically just have to go top track.
Yeah.
But you're kind of forced into one growth option.
For a while,
For a while.
Right.
Maybe until late game, but like in the start of the game, like you want to hit 2 again, and then 2 again. Pass.
Woof. Now, like I said, Bringer still has other things they can focus on, like support, giving elements out there. So it's not like they are literally exclusively fear as Finder is exclusively control. I get that.
You can look at the fear card, you can give elements to people.
There's a lot of utility in there. So that's very important to know. But that said, you can get some stupid high fear gains with this character.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
I know. Rant's done. They are a good character of fear.
And once you realize that you can defend a certain amount depending on how much fear you gain.
That's a great card. Love that card.
What? Because then, when you do get that massive high fear thing, you can defend a ton.
Explain that card to the listeners at home.
It is called Dread Apparitions, and the card art is super dope. You see, like, Bringer crawling out of a volcano. Like, it's so great. When powers generate fear in target land, defend 1 per fear. Sweet.
Wait, what?
It's great. So if you can get these synergistic, cascading fear gains that are just through the roof,
you can defend 20 somewhere. Yeah.
That's
amazing.
phenomenal. I'm not ignoring how awesome that is. I'm just saying, just like as we said, to be mindful of the strings that are attached when we were describing Thunderspeaker with their offense and having to micromanage all of those Kahana stuff, make sure that you are aware of the fact that this isn't a standard thing. This is just one card, and you're going to have to get a lot of fear to get that. But in order to get a lot of fear, you're going to have to find a lot of damage, which can be done. But it's not going to be as consistent, so...
It's not guaranteed. One thing, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Shadows is nowhere on this list.
Yeah.
No aspect, no base. Shadows didn't even make the top 5.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They made it on...
Control.
They made it on control.
Because foreboding does add a lot of control, and I've stated my case for that. They didn't make it onto fear.
No, it's true.
All right, I kind of mentioned this earlier. I looked at everyone's starting hand. Shadows gets 8 fear, just their starting hand. Mm-hmm. That is the most in the game. Sharp Fangs was second with Bringer. They get 6 fear just from their cards. 8 fear a turn is good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I know Shadows is weak. I was just surprised. I think that's my biggest surprise from Fear is Shadows didn't make it anywhere. Not even Amorphous or Reach or the other one no one cares about. Madness. I know Madness. But no version of Shadows made even the top 5. So that's interesting.
Whatever. But like we said, it's an all-star team.
It is an all-star.
Meaning your best. You really think Shadows would have been on a lot of people's best rating?
Maybe Amorphous is pretty cool.
John's like, let me dream.
I like Amorphous Shadows.
So there is your fear category. Sharp Fangs made it on 3% of everyone's teams. Pandemonium Lightning made it onto 6% of everyone's teams. Mist and Many Minds made it onto 12% of people's teams, Laura's and mine included. Then Ocean made it on 15% of people's teams, and Bringer made it to 42%.
Woof. Again, we like Bringer. Bringer's a good spirit.
Thankfully, Bringer actually fits in pretty well to a lot of other people's teams synergistically with that support that they can transition to quite well.
Dude, Bringer and Foreboding, generating fear in the land, and then Foreboding pushing that. Woof, what a team that'd be.
It's phenomenal. On to defense. This is the other one I really wanted to see because I feel as if this one has a lot of potential peeps in there. We got a lot of defensively minded characters in Jagged Earth.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like when I think about the OG Defender squad from Branch and Claw and before, I would be like Green, Earth, Serpent, Keeper. Okay.
Some people have defend cards,
but
they're not
or prevention thing. But those were like the immediate four that came to your mind. Now we got lots of people that do stuff, whether it be
Stone,
the form
Mines.
of or you got Finder, or you have
the aspects,
Trickster,
Resilience Earth,
Resilience Earth.
Different
we got
forms
a lot of defensive peeps, Downpour. Oh my gosh,
our only copy.
Crossover, right? So I was very interested to see
what people thought.
So getting into the numbers here for defense. 3% of all the peeps out there had Vital Strength of the Earth as their defender. Love it. Totally see it.
It makes sense.
It's
they made the top
classic,
5. Yeah.
The OG defender.
Makes
Not
sense.
only has Earth been here from the start, it is very likely that Earth was the first character that people ever played as.
Yeah.
Me, I'm raising my hand. I did. Very first character I ever played as. When Josh was here, it was the character that he played as.
Yeah.
Earth is such a wonderful character for someone to start playing as.
Earth is like a warm, safe blanket.
Yes, very much so. Very warm, weighted blanket.
Yeah.
Because in gaming, generally, defensive turtle-like kind of strategies are what beginners usually like to go with.
Sure.
And that's fine. Then we have a defense character who is low complexity. Oh man, it's like made for new people. I cannot tell you how many times I have given Vital Strength of the Earth as a suggestion for a brand new player, and they loved it. They loved the presence every single time. They had so much fun with the energy income. Like, wow, dude, look. It's fun to pat them on the back when they are getting so much energy game, because it's like, okay, cool, look, I grabbed 2 energy from my growth action, and then, wait, so since I have the 3 exposed, do I get another, 3? Yeah, man, you got 5 energy.
Whoa,
You see them grab the 3 energy token with a smile on their face, like, ooh. It's fun.
It is.
It's fun to have expensive cards while also having a ton of money to afford them.
I think Earth checks all the boxes of the summary powers for a new player that the other base don't.
Right.
You have offense, you have defense, clearly. You have fear in some of your cards. You have utility with your innates. Oh, and you have control with one of the cards.
Control.
Yeah.
You can control good guys and bad guys. So I don't want this conversation to go into why Earth is great for new players. Kind of want to bring it back to defense here.
Sure.
But having access to reliable defense 3 wherever you have a sacred site is so good.
Every turn.
I cannot tell you how many times I have constructed plays and cool things off of having 3 defense here, 3 defense there. It enables you and other players to do so many things. And since this is a game where defense stacks, it's so great. Not to mention you have one of the best defend cards in the game, which also functions as, in my opinion, the best blight removal card in the game. Sure, it may be expensive if anyone else was wielding it, but you're Earth, so you can afford it.
What's money?
So you can defend 4 paired with your Sacred Sites is defense 7. You have defense 3 even when you have no cards. You may have no defend cards in your hand that's left because they're on the discard pile, yet you are still defending.
You have your Sacred Sites.
It's just constant. It's great. Sure, it's simple. Sure, it's not the highest level of defense that's out there and whatnot. Sure, it may be rudimentary, but it's just so great.
Steady.
Yes, I still love it. Even today, even years upon years after going on to other characters, I still look at Earth with a smile on my face like, man, I've had so much fun with Earth.
And what's cool is the community thinks so also. At least some of them. Yeah. They made it to the top
they're
5.
Number 1. They're all-star.
Yeah, they're an all-star.
I love it. I 100% love it. Then, coming in 4th place at 6% of all the people who had, for their defender, they had Serpent and they had Grinning Trickster.
Ooh.
I see both of these, honestly.
Yeah.
I actually applaud this because I'm glad they got recognition, and I also understand why they didn't make the top 3.
Okay.
Because Grinning Trickster isn't a dedicated defender. However, the fact that they can go and spit Strife at such a ridiculous amount...
They can take on Sweden's extra damage.
It's really good.
It's really good.
It's really good because it is the nature of Strife not to just stop damage, you stop all of it from that particular invader. So if it was a buffed invader, you're not actually stopping damage, you're just changing that bad guy number to 0.
Because there's even events where it says buildings do 1 extra damage this turn. Yeah, exactly. And Trigger's like, who cares?
Yoink. I just put a Strife out there. That'd be a shame if I cha-ching. Put another one out there.
Oh, yeah. I love that innate.
Just spend an energy to do a second one. Serpent. Oh, gosh. Elemental Aegis.
Whoa.
One of the coolest defend cards in the game.
One of the rarest cards.
It's so cool. Not only does it do splash defense, but it actually gets better.
Stacks.
It is a defend card that defends in target land and all adjacent lands. But the thing is, as the game goes on, as you play the game while absorbing people's presence, you increase that value. So you can defend 4, defend 6, defend 8.
That is one card I never forget if I'm ever playing Serpent.
Oh,
I like to,
so
because you forget some of your starting
Yes.
cards, maybe. Not that one. Throughout my whole game, I love that defense.
Right.
On all adjacent areas, come on.
And once you have the avenue to repeat a power, and you repeat that card, you can easily defend 14 lands for like 8 damage each. It's phenomenal.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's great.
Such cheese.
Right. Many times you're going to want higher defense numbers, so getting a wider net as opposed to a thicker net won't be as good, but still, it's just so incredible to see. Whether it be, like you said with your Snakequake, doing a ton of damage in a bunch of lands, or a ton of defense in a bunch of lands. It's just so cool.
That's just what Serpent does, you know? They're everywhere.
How many times have you seen, man, I need defense in this one land. Okay, cool, I can do it, but I can't do it in the other one.
Yeah, well, they're ravaging 2 lands. We need both.
What's fun is sometimes to defend in a land that's in between 2 lands that are ravaging. And the target land actually isn't being attacked at all, but the adjacent lands are. So you can cover both of your incoming attacked lands with this one.
And you can get nerdy with like the starting board tiles to see like which lands are adjacent to each other. Like, oh, this jungle is always touching this wetland. It's like you can like touch all these different lands. It's fun.
Have you ever had those Spider-Man games for the PS2 where you had like this web gadget where he would throw a grenade and it would like explode in webbing?
Yes.
And all the bad guys are like, ah! And they're all like pinned down and they're all stuck because they're covered in all like the spider webbing. It's kind of the same here. bad guys are doing stuff. Quick, throw the grenade in there. Complete.
Dude, Spider-Man 2, one of the best video games.
Oh my goodness.
Love Spider-Man 2.
Sure, the graphics weren't all the best, but the world that you were in was
it was an
phenomenal.
open world.
An open world game of that size and magnitude.
PlayStation 2, yeah.
Oh, love it. Anyway, point being, the metaphor I'm getting at here is the fact that you have a lot of bad guys trying to hurt you. You throw in one power card and complete.
Yeah.
So many lands are now good, and the bad guys are halted, they're stalled, they're stuck because you defended it. Sure, it's very good for you to increase the defense of that card by absorbing other people's presence. That's another conversation, but still awesome capability there. Now we get into our top 3. Once again, we have somebody that we've seen before.
Ooh.
12% of all the peeps out there had many mines as their defender.
Another bronze place for mines.
That's right. Many mines we saw before at 12% for fear. Now we have many mines at 12% for defense. Totally see it.
Yeah.
Because the prevention is phenomenal, whether it be action skipping or just straight up defense.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You can get to places quite easily, and you can defend things very easy. I've said before that when it comes to the stallers, the top 3, for me personally, in no particular order, would probably be Earth, Many Mines, and Green.
Yeah.
Green can be like, nope. You can go ahead and stop ravages or builds. Earth can be like, nope, you're doing nothing because of your perfect stillness. And Many Mines can also go, nope, you're doing nothing. Whether it be in the form of stopping incoming damage because you just simply had enough defense out there.
Skipping actions.
Or you can just skip actions. So it's just phenomenal. And it's so simple.
And that defense is an innate, so unlike Serpent, where that card sometimes can go in your discard and you might not have access to it, Mines always has access granted if you have those elements. You can always defend every single turn.
It's fantastic. You will hear no complaints from me with Many Mines taking 3rd place here. Moving on up to the silver medalist position in 2nd place.
All right.
We have a tie between 2 very deserving spirits, in my personal opinion. 18% of all the peeps out there had one of these characters as their defender. A spread of rampant green and downpour drenches the world.
Hey, downpour was ours.
Yep, downpour was ours, and green. I mean, come on. When you hear defense, green is one of the first people you think of.
Definitely.
Come on. It's so great. You can defend.
So much prevention.
You have defense that you have access to, but you have some of the best and most easy access to prevention ever. Sure, it's going to happen more often in wetlands and jungles, sure, but it's so easy. You can do it all game long, but it's not a power card. It's not a power, which means that you don't necessarily have to worry about reclaim cycles and like energy expenditures as much, because you can just be like yoink and put your presence out there, whether from your growth or from your own capabilities to overgrow in midnight to go ahead and put stuff out there. It's phenomenal. It's quite simple. We just mentioned it just a moment ago with Many Mines when we were talking about the stallers out there. Yeah, there they are. Here's green. Here's green being able to be like, nope.
And it's not a card. It's an innate and it's a special role that they can do.
In the same way that Earth benefited from having their Sacred Site defense not being tied to a power card, Green, in the same way, benefits from not having their prevention not tied to a power card or innate. So it can just happen all the time. Sure, if the island is blighted, getting your presence out there is going to be just a little bit harder because you got to spend one.
Just cost 1 energy.
Right, but that's not so bad. Hopefully by that time in the game, that will be mid-game, late game anyway, where you're probably fully upgraded by then anyway.
Right, and you can either get your energy spike as well if you need it.
And then downpour,
well, you heard us talk about it last week.
Yeah. Downpour can just sling the defense out there.
Obscene amounts of
defense. And we've said this point before in the past. There are many adversaries out there that make life hard for defenders because of how the adversary can use their own attacking proficiencies to get around Spirit's capabilities. And so sometimes they just have so much offense that usual standard amounts of defense doesn't cut it. Well, Downpour is the exception for low, dear listener, when most defenders would be neutered by a adversary. Downpour stands alone at just being too extreme to censor.
Oh, yeah. They're the asterisks to the defenders.
Except for Downpour. Downpour can just sling the defense. How? Because they can defend a certain amount based on how much presence you have, but then you can just simply, in the same way that Thunderspeaker can combine Dahan numbers and presence numbers to equate to offense, Downpour can combine presence and defend cards to stack them both to multiply to get ridiculously high defense numbers. So, defend how much per presence? 2. And how much presence do I have there? 3 or 4.
Okay.
Because you can move presence.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have a growth option that spawns 2 presence.
Oh, you have a defend card that you can repeat how many other times?
Right.
Yeah.
And you can repeat stuff.
Yeah.
So not only do I have, 3, 4 presence in a land where I'm defending 2 per presence, so there's like 6 or 8 defense right there, depending on how much you have.
Yeah.
But I have a defend card that repeated 5 times.
There you go.
How much defense was on that card? It's a defend 3. 5 times, that's 15. 15 plus 8 is 23. And
You can have some lands where you need 15 defense.
Right, bam, done. And I can do it every other turn, whatnot. You can see how it's just absolutely insane. Now,
Very strong spirit.
it is true that you do lose Dahan counterattack stuff, but that is just the price that you have to pay for obscene defense. That's fine, but you also have defense in the form of cleaning up Blight, too. So honestly, you can move out of a spot, let them hit you, go back in there, remove the Blight, you're good. Wait a minute, I had to remove a presence to remove that Blight. That's fine, gift of abundance. And I'm back.
Yeah. And I'm back. Oh, and you get energy for removing blight. Nice.
Mamamoo, I've come to bargain. Just keeps coming back again.
What is it, like the 10 years or a decade or 1,000 years? Did they ever say how long Doctor Strange was doing that
Marvel
for?
has yet to officially announce how long that time loop went on. So to the people that complain saying, hey, wait a minute, Doctor Strange is like way too powerful for not a lot of time. He, got to Sorcerer Supreme way too fast. Well, we don't know how long that time pocket was. He could have been
years,
in there
decades,
for a while.
centuries.
So who knows what
Yeah.
tricks he could have learned while he was getting slaughtered.
Dying.
Anyway, back to Spirit
Oh,
Island.
yeah, Downpour, really good.
Downpour is phenomenal. Definitely makes sense for taking the silver medal here.
But
and
who got one?
like you said, Downpour was ours.
Oh, yeah,
So,
both of ours.
Yep. So who got number
Who got
one?
number 1, Ryan?
With 30%, the gold medal goes to Stone.
Wow.
Stone's Unyielding Defiance.
This surprises me.
It doesn't surprise me, but I don't like it.
I'm mad.
No, I'm not mad. I'm just saying I think Green, Mines, or Downpour get the purest form of defense more than Stone does. Stone's gameplay style is very defensive. You won't hear disagreement from me with that. When you hear the word defense, the kind of defense that I think of is not what Stone has.
You think of
which
like
is
stopping
fine.
damage, at least
Right.
I do.
Or cleaning up.
Cleaning up.
Which is fine. I'm not complaining. I do think that Stone has a lot of favorable hype, which is also not a problem. I still think Downpour can defend better than Stone can.
Definitely.
But the thing is Stone, I don't look at that gameplay style as defensive. I look at that as counterattacking. I will take some damage and I will sling it back at you. I will take the hit, let the blight show up, and then counterattack.
They're
at you.
indifferent to blight.
Right. Sure, bad guys still get removed from the board and blight still gets removed from the board. Sure. But I look at that as counterattacking more than I do defense. But this game, where do you put that? Do you put that offense? Do you put that defense? In this result, it looks like people put it on defense. Which is fine.
Because in their summary powers, those are their 2 highest bars,
Right.
is offense and defense.
Right. I would have put Stone at like maybe 3rd.
Okay.
Or something like that. Which is still good. That's on the podium.
Oh,
you
yeah.
still get a medal for that.
You just wouldn't put them at
Yep.
first, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but 30%. That's a lot. Almost double Green or Downpour. A lot of people put Stone out there.
Really like let them break themselves against the Stone.
Oh, it's
People
great.
love that innate. Laura loves that innate.
Right.
It's so fun.
And I'm
Take the
curious
damage.
to see how
Fight back.
various synergies will feed in to this as well. Because what if what I'm saying is not taking into effect the synergy
Of
that
a team.
Stone has?
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what synergies we shall see with Stone, or maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are just like, yeah, best defender, bam, Stone. So I'm very curious to see how people will back up this notion.
Ours was Green and Downpour number 2. Laura's was Stone.
Yep,
and
Laura's
number-
was Stone.
Yeah.
Yep. But Laura loves Stone, not for defense.
She likes the counterattack.
She
Again,
likes the counterattack.
that right innate.
Yep.
You're
And that's
punching
fine.
right back.
Yep. And that's totally
Because
fine.
she doesn't like Earth. She doesn't like Downpour as much. Or Green. Like, she doesn't like quote-unquote
Right.
normal defenders.
Yep.
She likes that version of that
Right.
defense that Stone brings.
And she said herself, she doesn't like looking ahead. And defense, you have to look ahead a
You have
bit
to plan, yeah.
She just likes being able to,
Oh.
wait, the problem is in my face. Luckily, I'm immune to certain amounts of bad guy
You're just
incoming
getting
damage.
punched in the face. You're like,
Sure,
what?
I'll just
and punch back.
It's more of a belligerent brute style of gameplay,
It
but
is.
that's how she plays. And
It works with Stone.
It works, and so, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just fun to see everyone's different approaches. That's Laura's approach. It's certainly not mine. But Stone at 30% was the number 1 defender amidst all of our peeps. So, once again, 5th place was Earth with 3% representation amongst the community in our poll here. Serpent and Trickster were on 6% of people's teams. Many Minds was on 12% of people's teams. Downpour and Green was at 18% of people's teams.
Nice.
And Stone was on 30% of people's teams. Now let's go and bring it on home with utility.
This one's a mess.
This one is a mess.
This
but
one
it's a fun mess.
I think this one got the most votes for like different types of spirits.
Yeah, the most diverse.
A lot of these spirits got one vote.
Right.
And they didn't make the top 5, but like a lot of spirits like, oh, I really like this card, so I'm going to use them as my utility.
This is the chili or sloppy Joe category.
It is.
Meaning it's messy. It can be customized so differently depending on the chef that made it, and yet it's tasty every single time.
That's true.
And it's all good.
I'm never mad about utility.
Right. So, one thing that's nice is that there's not a whole lot of ties. The only tie is a 5-way tie right at 5th place. But thankfully, first, second, third, and fourth are all held with one character. And I think there's like the smallest amount of disparity, too, as far as like the numbers.
Oh, yeah. They're
it's
pretty
the most
close.
even, yeah. Hey, 5th place, we have 5 peeps.
It's
a lot of numbers. But don't worry, we'll get into it. So 3% of all of the voters had these characters for their utilitarian. We have River, we have Lightning, we have Stone, we have Ocean, and we have Bringer. River, it's Boon of Vigor. Lightning's Boon.
Lightning's Boon.
Stone, keeping people alive.
The blights,
Ocean,
the Ocean.
Tidal Boon.
Or Tidal Boon and the Ocean.
Bringer, handing out elements.
There you go, number 4. It's a one-note type of thing.
These are characters who each of them are not utility characters. They're other thing. River, control spirit. Lightning is an attacker. Stone, counterattacking defender. Ocean, attacker. Bringer, fear character. None of them are utility first, but they have something that helps.
Is Boon of Vigor incredible? Yes!
Yes!
So clearly
is
that's
Lightning's Boon incredible?
Yes!
Is keeping people alive awesome? Yes! Is Tidal Boon incredible?
Well, the Ocean! And the Ocean tile.
Is handing out elements good?
Yes. Love it.
Yep. So it's fun to see that these characters made it onto voters' number 1 utility thing. Remember how we talked about some people are going to have a fun thing that they really like. They're going to really like getting energy from someone or a speed upgrade.
Right.
Or something. I'm actually glad to see that that's exactly what happened here.
Oh, yeah, because I sometimes see, like, maybe someone saying lightning, they were thinking wind lightning too.
Yep.
Or, like, different aspects of something because wind lightning is incredibly supportive. This reminds me a little bit of Control, where there are not as many, like, quote-unquote utility spirits.
Yeah.
Even in listening back to our old stuff,
There really isn't.
We had Serpent, and who else was our utility in base and branch and claw?
Honestly, just Serpent. Other characters had fun utility things.
Tools.
But they weren't a utility first character.
Yeah.
Serpent was the only utility first character.
So we don't have that many.
Right.
To work
And there's
with.
only 3 in the game.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, they're all here, by the way.
Oh, they made the top 5. I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, this 5th place, it's how much you value Lightning's Boon.
Right.
Basically.
Yep. So, in 4th place at 6%, literally double, before we have Serpent.
Oh, yeah.
Slumbering beneath the island.
As previously mentioned.
In 4th place, totally makes sense. This is the OG utilitarian. They are giving you major power so you don't have to forget it. They are handing out energy to friends. They are letting you get another presence out there.
Presents,
That
elements.
is huge.
Basically anything.
Yep.
They're letting you do everything.
You know, it's funny.
Extra card play, elements.
We talk about many times how freakishly useful it is to get other presents out there and how it's just like the best ever. So why isn't Serpent, which is a character that lets you spit presents out there? I'll tell you why. Because they're taking presents as well.
Okay, all right. That was, again...
Because in order to get presents out there, you have to be on their list. How do you get on their list? They have to eat you. So...
you gotta lose presents.
Sure, it's not so bad because when you take a presence off your board, you're still revealing a thing. It doesn't matter what happens to presents afterwards. But still, like, the zeitgeist is, A, I can't do this all the time as consistently as Green can.
Yeah.
Nor can I do it to everyone. I can only do it to a certain amount of people, and I have to take something from you. When it comes to like Green, it's just nothing but good. It's all good because it's consistent all the time throughout the game, and it's, hey, I don't have to hurt you in any way. You know, it's just, bam, there it is. But still, getting other presents out there is huge. And if you want to take Serpent under your wing to make them your main, I have noticed that Serpent mains who are good with that spirit are always players who trigger this innate often.
And I don't. I'm not good with Serpent.
Because Serpent is at their best when they're getting their presence out there to get the amazing stats on their tracks. Players that usually complain about Serpent being like, okay, are usually players, from my observations,
Yeah.
that don't really do their nates too much. They're like, oh yeah, I did my nate like twice, maybe three times over the whole game. I'm like, bro, you gotta go.
You gotta be supportive. You gotta be helpful.
You gotta get your nates out if
then
you really want to.
You sacrificing your presence is getting no benefits. Basically,
right?
You're not getting helped.
Right,
in that
and
way.
Elemental Aegis isn't getting so good because they're like, I mean, the card's okay, but it's only defend 2. I'm like, it could be defend 6, defend 8.
Yeah, you can make that better.
Do your job.
My thought process, because of the Fun 5 and how high Serpent got as one of the favorite spirits, I thought they would be higher on this list.
You know, I thought so too.
I thought they were going to be 1. You guessed Fractured. My internal thought process, I thought Serpent was going to take number 1.
I'm not surprised, though, in truth, because
So they got
of
4th?
who's coming up.
Okay.
Because there's only so many spots. you
Right.
know? And there's 3 utility spirits, yet they're all beat by 1 person. So
anyway.
Technically a spoiler, but we already mentioned it last episode. So anyway.
Number 3.
We double once again from 6 to 12. We started at 3%, then Serpent doubled us to 6. Then at 12% of utilitarians on people's lists. In 3rd place, our bronze medalist was Shifting Memory of Aegis.
No arguments for me.
One of
That's
the 2
what
utility characters that came in Jagged Earth, Shifting Memory. A character that can give out elements very consistently and any element that you want, which is always great. Usually, characters who do this well can give you any element, but you'll see a lot of power cards in the game where it's like, oh, if you pick an element, another character can get the same one. So it's like, oh, okay. Elemental Boon is great because you can just pick
exactly
any 3.
what it does, yeah.
But it's like strings attached kind of elements. Maybe you can get a lot of a certain kind, or maybe you can get double up on one. Here, it's pretty cool because it can be like, hey, what do you need? I'll start banking that one and give it to you.
I need a lot of fire. Okay, I'll start getting fire for you.
Right. Or I honestly really like a selfish Shifting Memory where you just give it all to yourself.
Okay.
Because you can find your own majors and be like, bam, get the elements for my own majors, which is really nice.
My big thing with memory, and if I'm ever playing with one, I love that I can gain majors and not have to forget.
Honestly, that's the big one.
That's my big one.
For me, that's
elements
the
are
big
cool.
one.
Elements are great.
Elements are great.
Love
That's
elements.
like a seasoning
Yeah.
that can really get just enough for a character here, just enough for a character
cool. I
there.
triggered this innate.
But getting a major without having to forget something
game
is
changer. I don't have to lose what I am. I don't have to lose my identity. May I have picked up great cards. I don't want to lose them, but then I'm being gifted this amazing major.
Yeah.
I love that
it's
part
great.
of
It's so
Shifting
simple.
Memory.
And Serpent can do that as well, but Memory can do less things than Serpent can, but Memory can do those things more consistently.
Definitely.
So I think that definitely has some saliency
That's
here.
probably why they beat out Serpent.
Right. Also, you will get Memory if you buy Jagged Earth. Serpent, you have to chase down in a promotional pack.
Good luck
as well.
with that,
So,
those are hard to find.
unfortunately. But anyway, I definitely totally am fine with having Memory at 3rd place.
Yeah.
Then, not double, but triple from 12% to 33%. Not like perfectly triple, but almost triple.
Very near.
At 33%, our silver medalist, Fractured Days,
I'm mad.
Split the Sky.
I'm mad. I'm mad. I wanted them 1. I'll say it.
You wanted them 1?
I wanted them
close.
number
It
1.
was close.
They are all utility. Almost
are
only utility.
pegged.
Both
They
innates.
are pegged.
Card, special rules. It's all utility.
They are manipulating time, the invader deck, the event deck if you have them in play.
Card
you have
plays,
card
repeating
plays,
cards.
repeating your own stuff. It's phenomenal. Resolving cards at different speeds, getting them back. Oh, you can look at the banker board and do stuff there like we just described.
incredible.
It's crazy. You have so many cheat codes that you can apply.
I got
It's
friggin'
great.
second!
Hey, if it's any
place.
consolation, 1st place was 36%, and
Okay.
Fracture got 33%. So this one was very close.
There's like a few votes.
Yeah, this totally makes sense, Fracture being this high. You know, Fracture deserved either 1st or 2nd, and they got the silver medal by 3%.
that was my utility
Fractured
character.
was the other Jagged Earth utilitarian. Shifting Memory, I think, is a little bit better for actual board game state majors and minors that they're using. And it makes sense that Fractured, who is a little bit less involved with the board game state, is higher on the utility rating because they can just do so many things.
It's crazy.
It's phenomenal.
It is very much a thinky spirit. So
oh my goodness,
be
yes.
prepared to just be staring at your board and just thinking for a while. Just having a look, you know?
Yep, and it takes a while. I remember Laura was like, okay, you guys do your thing. I'll just chime in when I can.
Didn't she talk about one time she had like a panic attack? She's like, I just can't play this today.
Right,
I'm like, oh, sorry, baby.
It was hilarious when I was playing with Josh. Remember when we were talking in episode 20? He was Earth, I was Fractured. Like the difference.
And
it was a phenomenal game.
That's why
like,
that Defend 3 is another reason why it's always so good, always having
Seriously,
it.
yes, because hey, guess what? When I repeat a invader
Ravage?
action here, it's still Defend 3
It's
there,
amazing.
baby.
Yep.
So it it was great. Fracture can do some just silly stuff, man. It's phenomenal. It's crazy. Some of the most
Play
fun
Gift of
moments.
Proliferation. Reclaim it. Play it again.
Right, yeah. It's phenomenal. It's great. So, speaking of Gift of Proliferation, number 1, our gold medalist, Get Wrecked!
No! I'm
It's
so mad.
green.
No, it's one card.
Red of rampant green,
One
baby.
card gets it. Are you kidding me?
Gift of Proliferation will easily always be the freaking
so mad.
best.
It's so
Get
good.
wrecked!
It's so good. I hate it.
Oh, you love it.
Fracture's
if you know
like,
you do.
I'm everything. I'm all utility.
I love how, like, just like you're saying, green has one thing.
It just plays one card.
Fractured, Memory, Serpent, literally doing everything else. I can give you speed changes. I can give you energy. I can give you major power cards.
Boom, boom,
I can give you cards. They're major power cards.
I can tell you where the invaders are going. I can tell you what event's coming up.
Nope, none of it matters. Throw it all away. Give me one extra present. That is it.
You can't measure what. Oh my! The benefits.
gosh.
You can't measure that.
No, you can't.
You literally can't.
Right,
It's
give it to Wildfire. That means more damage.
And then
give it to someone who has a bad energy track. They're actually playable now.
Yeah. Seriously.
Oh.
You can get this a little bit faster. You can play this extra card. You can get
give
this
it
innate.
to Earth. That equates to defense. Give it to Vengeance. That means that they can get more disease out
You're
there.
playing the game one turn ahead.
Yes.
From then on out.
Right.
One turn ahead.
Right.
It can't be measured.
You really cannot quantify how freaking good it is, but you can guarantee that it will be useful.
Because guess what? Their reclaim loop is not that bad.
No.
So they're like, oh, I'll play this again.
Green is one of the best reclaim loops.
Yes,
because
you're always growing!
When we were playing Brandenburg Prussia, Green in like the last 4 turns, reclaim. Gift.
Burn, baby, burn.
And Wildfire was just...
and it wants the
going
game
crazy.
Yeah.
It won us the game being able to have Gift of Proliferation play
card.
every single turn.
It
is just stupid good.
It's a good card.
And it will always be stupid good.
Like, you can't design a more utility spirit, and still Green's is like, nope.
No, it's hilarious because the thing is, you want to make characters different. You want to make them unique, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, we're going to spam someone that's utility. We're going to have so many characters completely wrap themselves around utility.
Yeah.
But we're not going to have them do a green just because we want them to be different. And yet it's still hilarious how green just has one thing that they do. And yet it's still
so good.
Leagues better than so many
good.
things. And it's not that all those other things don't have value because they really do. But it's just... Like
Boon of Vigor! Remember Boon of Vigor? That's cool!
But the thing about Gift of Proliferation is regardless of the context, regardless of who, regardless of when, regardless of what, it is always the best.
Always good to grow.
Those other things are great, but is it always as good as Gift of Proliferation? Not really. Because the thing is Gift of Proliferation is both flexible and awesome. Like, the depth of value and the width of value is just, like, the best. It's like that one meme with, like, that one samurai guy who's like, watch how easily I steal this win.
Basically. Because I'm like, Fractured's getting all these votes. 33%, nice!
Yep, and, you know, fair's fair, 3%. That was close.
It was
36% to 33%.
Handful of votes. Yeah, real close.
So, you know, we're joking here. Yes, Green got very high on defense, and Green, of all things, got number 1 on utility.
Wow.
Right, that's just people's opinions, but think about it this way, too. Fractured and Green have fantastic synergy with other people, but when you think synergy, Green is like, I synergize with everyone.
Yeah.
How many people does Green synergize with?
I can't
Gary
think of one
Oldman?
they don't. Yeah.
Everyone!
It is. It's everyone.
So, yeah, and Green is doing so much, and it's all helpful.
And this poll came out before our episode where you talked about, because you picked Green as your utility. So it's not like you're swaying people's opinions. This was before our episode aired. So people
Who was Laura's utilitarian? Ocean or something?
It was Ocean. The Ocean title boon!
Hey, top 5!
Yeah, they made it to the top 5. Yeah.
So, yeah, jokes aside, Green and Fractured, it could have gone to either.
Sure.
It really honestly could. Both of them deserve gold and silver. So if
it's just funny. It's just fun to yell about.
It's
fun to yell about.
It is fun. If they tied, you would have heard no complaints from me. So once again, the utilitarians, when it comes to everyone's votes, 3% of all the people out there had River or Lightning or Stone or Ocean or Bringer as their utilitarian. 6% of people had Serpent on their team. 12% of people had Memory. 33% had fractured, and 36 had green. So that definitely makes sense to me, and so that is the final category. Wow. This data is insane. So looking at the number 1, the gold medalists.
Give us the new team. Give us the top 5 team.
The top team is Wildfire, Finder, Bringer, Stone, and Green.
Strong team.
Yep. And so Fractured almost made it at the number 1. Green almost made it for number 1 with defense. So I was very close.
You made a prediction.
And Thunderspeaker also made second place.
Because you thought it was going to be Thunderspeaker, Finder, Bringer, Green, and Fractured.
The only time I was wrong is when the person who I thought would get gold got silver.
Yeah. But it is interesting. I did not think Green was going to get utility.
Yeah.
I had no way thought Wildfire was going to get offense, number 1. No way.
I didn't think they were going to get number 1. I honestly didn't. I agree with it. Heck, they were number 1 for mine.
They were your vote,
but I didn't think they were going to be that publicly loved, which is totally fine.
Yeah, all the better for it.
Another thing is all the people who would have voted for Thunderspeaker, maybe not all of them saw the vote. They didn't see the survey.
Sure, that's true.
How many people in the Spirit Island community saw this poll? Probably not all of them. This is just the votes of the people who did see it. So
that's true.
This list is less of the whole community's opinion and more about the people who are our listeners or happened to see this poll, or both.
Or plugged into the community. Right. So I value their opinion for sure.
Right on. I really didn't foresee the All-Star Series being a 3-episode thing.
We didn't either. I kind of thought it might have been just one-off, honestly.
But here we are. The exact same thing happened with the Fun 5.
Yeah, I thought we'd just go through our teams and then go to the comments and just
Right.
But the data is so interesting, isn't it?
I know. And seriously, it is. So I can't wait to get into all y'all's comments next time. But don't worry, this isn't a problem, the whole being 3 episodes thing. Not a problem. It's just fun to
comments is some of our favorite parts of doing these episodes.
It's just, you gotta understand the context. As content creators, we have a recording schedule and we schedule out time and whatnot because we have a whole real life thing to get around here, this pesky full-time job.
No, we only play Spirit Island, that's it.
And so we have to schedule things and whatnot, and in the schedule we were gonna knock this off in 1 episode, which is fine, we'll adjust.
3 weeks later.
So, anyway, I can't wait to get to all yours. So until that time, we'll catch you guys on the Flippity Flip.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Kindred Spirit Podcast. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. Feel free to visit us on our Instagram and Facebook page. You can find me on our Facebook page at The Kindred Spirit Podcast. To get a hold of John, check out our Instagram page at the KSP123. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in future episodes.